the Spiti Valley. Vast, remote, scarcely inhabited. This region in Himachal Pradesh was once part of the kingdom of Western Tibet. Himalayan peaks on all sides make Spiti almost inaccessible. But over 1,000 years ago, along ancient trade routes and high passes, came Buddhism. This is one of its great landmarks, the Ki Gompa. It is the valley's biggest monastery, standing more than 13,500 feet above sea level. Battered by the elements, struck by war and natural disaster for centuries, Ki has risen from the ashes, time and again. A towering symbol of the undying spirit of Buddhism. Faith and mysticism still thrive here. But an event over 4 decades ago shook the Spiti Valley, unearthing a hidden secret. That winter afternoon, Spiti's peace and quiet was shattered. Nature had unleashed its destructive force. The region suffered terrible losses in the earthquake of 1975. But in its aftermath, a strange discovery was made. Led by a soldier of the armed forces, a roadworks crew was clearing rubble. The section they were working on was adjacent to an old village. As they dug, they made a startling discovery. The remains of a man, a perfectly preserved mummy, almost 500 years old. But who was he, and why had his remains not decomposed? Were there others like him? Buddhism first came to Spiti via Tibet in the West over 1,000 years ago. The religion was nurtured by several monasteries in the valley. Today, it has some of the oldest continually surviving Buddhist communities in India. A new day begins at the Ki Gompa, despite sub-zero temperatures. This morning the monks are greeted with unseasonal rain. But these are hardy highlanders. They brave much worse in the deep winter when temperatures can drop below -30 degrees Celsius. Senior monks or lamas lead the group at a chanting session. Buddhist texts written in the ancient Pali language were brought here by learned monks and translated into local Tibetic dialects. Among them was the great 9th century translator, Rinchen Zangpo. The great scholar's 19th reincarnation now heads the Ki monastery.
Since I was recognized as the reincarnation of Rinchen Zangpo, I'm supposed to serve the Buddha Dharma in this area particularly.
The Rinpoche leads the 300 monks of the Ki monastery, the largest in the Indian Himalayan region.
The purpose of becoming a monk means to develop yourself, how to control yourself, how to be happy, and then on top of that, you also should serve this community.
With better weather returning, the young monks gather for a debating session. Their learning is based on an ancient syllabus, the teachings of the Buddha, which is known as the Dhamma. The pursuit of Dhamma is to liberate monks from human suffering, spread Buddha's words, and keep the faith strong. In these ancient chambers carved into the rock, young students learn to master the greatest power of a monk, the mind. These students spend years honing the ability to meditate. As time goes by, they graduate to private cells. This process goes on for years. Perhaps this is how the monk whose mummified remains were found started off. Today the mummy is housed in the village of Gyu. It has become an object of reverence. DNA testing has revealed that he lived about 500 years ago. Despite that, his teeth, fingernails, skin are remarkably well preserved. Even his hair is still on his head.
They saw fungus growing on his body, so that indicates clearly that there was no resin coating, so that rules out artificial mummification entirely.
Unlike Egyptian mummies, this body wasn't coated with chemicals and artificially preserved. So how was he so perfectly mummified? The answers are unclear, but some think that he was a Buddhist monk and began the process of mummification while still alive. According to locals, his name was Sangha Tenzin. He decided to release himself from the final attachment to life itself. He would have spent weeks, possibly months, giving up basic needs like food.
So research has shown that any change in dietary aspects do change the type of bacteria growing in your gut. It is possible that change in diet would cause certain bacteria to grow that would slow down the decomposition process. Additionally, the Spiti Valley has a low temperature, low humidity, low O2 level, and all of this supports the fact that this could be a case of natural mummification.
The process of renouncing his mortal form would have been long and excruciating.
Well, some sources have shown that certain monks are able to control their body temperature, their heart rate, more than at least the average person. But it does sound like a difficult death.
Tenzin Sangha's extreme actions raise many questions. Was this an isolated case, or was this common practice back then? Ever since it was discovered in 1975, the mummy of Gyu has added to the mystique of the isolated Spiti Valley, a land of monks, mountains, and unexplained mysteries.